Greetings, champions, greetings, and welcome to Live with Chatufa. We are still here and making sure that we give you updates of what is happening in our nation, around the nation, and all over the world. Very exciting news that we are hearing happening right in our neighboring country, South Africa. As we hear, South African IEC alters figures after Jacob Zuma's presser. You still remember the Jacob Zuma presser, which we aired live on the main channel for about close to 3 hours. And a lot has been said by Jacob Zuma, a lot of allegations, they've been said about the vote rigging and things like that. And funny thing that has just happened is that the figures that had originally been laid out by IEC, we are seeing the ZEC style being employed right now. Very, very embarrassing. The International Cables Network reports that South Africa former President Jacob Zuma and his Umkhonto weSizwe party have single-handedly exposed the IEC South Africa's incompetence in running the South African elections. After Zuma's presser, where he highlighted 9 million missing votes, the IEC has now changed the figures. So this is what we are seeing happening. Figures have actually been altered in a very embarrassing fashion. And this is the ZEC style, exactly the ZEC style that we have always known. Very, very embarrassing. And this is actually, I think, supposed to be a ploy to cover up probably for those numbers that the MK party has been talking about. So it's still to be seen what exactly is going to be happening. But according to the reports, this is the original figures that were given, and this becomes yet the new figures that have been changed in the database of the IEC. So this is, again, the ZEC style. As always, we've been saying ZANU-PF has been employing these dirty tactics in trying to coach the ANC on how rigging of votes can be done. And many people were saying it has not been successful, but I think to some extent there's been some success in trying to rig elections in South Africa. And now that we are beginning to hear quite a lot of these accusations and also a response of changing of figures by the IEC, it now becomes highly, highly suspicious that this could really certainly have happened. You still remember the videos. I've been showing you the videos here on the show, many videos of ballot boxes that were found in dustbins, some found in people's houses, some found in cars, some found dumped in bushy places, and things like that. It has been very disturbing, and the police have been involved, and we've seen videos being taken of such incidences. So it is really very embarrassing to find that the IEC, after the allegation of the 9 million unaccounted for votes, then are found to have altered their figures. What could be the reason? And I remember also they've come out on press and they've said it's not a big deal. And you know, that kind of a statement is exactly the ZEC kind of response that we have always known in Zimbabwe, where ZEC, when they are accused of having done some irregularities, you only hear Matinyara saying it is not a big deal or things like that. And why do you want to be the ones that conclude that it's not a big deal when the players in the elections are actually complaining about what they've seen on the ground? So definitely, we really want to be, encouraging these independent bodies to remain independent and not to start to find themselves being players and the referees at the same time. And I think this is the disease that these liberation parties have started to develop, where they are now beginning to hijack and capture the state so that state organs and state functions can be now under their control so that they can do what they want. This is the spirit now that we are seeing in these liberation parties. That's why really African people, especially in SADC, we have to stand up against these liberation parties and make sure that they go. They must go. They've done enough. They fought their war. We thanked them and appreciated them for fighting the war. And then freedom has come. They must hand over to the young people who are bringing up new political parties and new political players that are coming into play now. We want to see change happening. Why is it that these liberation parties, they are not interested in change? Why do they want to be the ones that be in power throughout without considering that other people may also come in as leaders in a nation. So the idea of them fighting for freedom and for democracy is defeated at the end of the day when they start to show signs of refusal to also allow other parties to come in. So the IEC definitely need to do more in terms of explaining what has happened and how the alteration of figures that they've done is impacted on every party, what party has benefited and what party has also suffered a disadvantage because of these figures that they are altering. And why are they altering them now? Where have these figures been? What is their original saver saying about the captured data during the time of the election, the counting, and to the day of announcement? What has developed between that day and today? What has really changed between this day and that day? So quite a lot of questions that they need to answer. So the idea of saying it is not a big deal, that definitely is not an answer, and they need to do more in terms of assuring the South African people that they indeed are still a credible organization that can still be credible to run elections that are free, fair, and transparent. Otherwise, failure of that IEC should have to be disbanded or should have to be, fired, and then some other new people being appointed into those positions. And I think in South Africa it is quite very, very possible, because people can simply go to courts to force the government to disband the existing IEC, especially with all the evidence of the irregularities that could have happened. But it's only difficult, of course, in Zimbabwe, where the courts also are Mnangagwa, the police being Mnangagwa, everyone being Mnangagwa. So there's no way that at times processes like that of disbanding the ZEC could ever happen. So it's really very disturbing to see these things happening the way they are. And we wish South Africa to improve better, because we have a problem with this idea of democracy, because South Africa has been quite a beacon of democracy for a very long time. And many nations have been looking forward to South Africa, probably until this time, where we are hearing these kind of very embarrassing and disheartening outcomes that we are seeing happening in South Africa. South Africa must uphold its standard of holding free, fair, and credible elections and being a big democracy in Africa. They must fight to maintain that and not allow some selfish politicians to drag the country into the mud. I'm seeing a question from Vusiland here, who's saying, Brother Chatufa, help me. I need to know more about Gambako and Bishop Nyamakanga and plan a protest. Is it true? Yeah, we are just hearing it from from social media. We are just hearing it from social media. And somebody asked this very question last time again, but I think let me answer it in a different way today. I'm also just hearing it about it the same way my brother Vusiland, you are also hearing about it just from social media, and that's it. But personally, I don't know about that. I'm not connected to that. I don't know about that. And remember, yesterday I was telling you that this platform, Chatufa TV Productions, has been elected and appointed by the Blue Movement to be its mouthpiece. And I don't have such communication from all the guys that I'm talking about. I'm talking to, actually, and some of them are going to be coming on the show, on the main show, and they are going to be talking on their own. Like I was telling you that I'm still making efforts to bring Gift Ostelos to come and straighten up things. But one thing I can tell you is that from these guys that I'm talking to, is now I am connected to them that much. They are not also part of that story. So those that we don't want to speak on their behalf, let them speak on their behalf. We are not their spokespersons. Let them speak on their behalf. They know what they are doing there. But definitely, as for me, being Chatufa, I'm not part of that. And I don't think the Blue Movement is part of that. I could have, the guys could have told me that this is what is happening. So it's a disclaimer. We are also just hearing it from social media. So that's, I think today I've answered it a bit more clear. Last time I refused to comment about it. I said I'm not going to talk about it. Definitely, I did not. So at least I've given more light. I'm sure, Brother Vusiland, you got a bit of more clarity on that one. So Brother Mahachi, how are you? He's saying Brother, evening, brother, my brother Chatufa. How are you, my brother? I hope you are doing good. Yokai says, we are with you, my brother Chatufa. Keep on doing the good work. Thank you so much. Gogomawere says, afternoon, Chatufa and the champions. Thank you so much for being here and supporting the platform. My sister Petronella says, good morning, Chatufa. Morning to you. How are you out there? And Brother Mahachi, I'm just simply going to put your comment there. I'm not going to read it. I'm not going to talk about it. I'm not going to comment about it. I don't want to talk about people. I want to talk about ourselves here. And of course, those that I can speak on their behalf, I can talk about them. So I'm still planning to see if I can reach out and have the leaders that were present during the meeting that was disrupted by the police in Harare. And also I'm trying to see if I can reach out to Honorable Pasha Svanda Koblawai, so that he can also come on the show and explain what happened with the police and also what happened in Harare. So the leaders, I'm trying to connect with them. Once I have them, you will see me bringing them on the show, and they will be talking about what really transpired. We need the Zimbabwean people to know exactly what happened and what kind of damage happened, because they were physically on the ground. So we need that information from the horse's mouth. It's very, very important. So this is what it is. We will continue to be giving you updates of what is happening. So I have about 3 more updates, 3 more shows to come other than this one. Then we can be crossing over later to the main channel where we have more shows there. All right. Let's be hear what the brother say. He say, it's all because of ZANU-PF. He's saying what? Chese chayakabata chatosviba haisi yatoshatiswa nezanu well, that is what they did. I'm sure the influence of ZANU-PF is now beginning to be seen in South Africa when we see things like this happening. But I think it is time that the powers that be in South Africa must act quickly to make sure that they get rid of this rot. They should not allow this rot to continue, because it's going to be impacting the next elections. Whichever elections could be held is going to be really impacted. Once you have rotten apples within a system that is supposed to be producing very transparent results, it becomes very, very problematic. So the problem that we have in Zimbabwe is that these things started happening and there was nobody of authority who voiced out to try and see how they can sort this problem out and pluck out the rot, take out the bad apples. So if South Africa do not do that, then I'm afraid it's going to be a problem, especially if now that there is this coalition government, if the people that caused this to happen could be the main players of the coalition, like the DA and the ANC, which means definitely they will not do anything about this IEC. They will leave them like that, which means then it's going to be a big problem, because they will be the government in place and they are the right people to put order into the IEC, unless maybe the South African people themselves, they would put pressure to make sure that something is done about this IEC. We don't want to see this IEC turning into a ZEC law. Let me say it to the South African people, never allow IEC to become like ZEC. I'm telling you, you'll be oppressed for the rest of your lives, because, fighting that system when it is captured, it will always give you what you have not voted for. And you always have leaders that you don't want, leaders that you have not voted for, leaders that have no mandate, and leaders who can do what they want without you being able to do anything about it, because they know that they'll just bring election, they rig, and then they announce that they've won, and yet they continue to misrule and misrun the economy and the country and the politics itself. So this is what it is. We will continue to be watching whatever is happening in the nation. And thank you so much, family, for joining me on the show. Let me be switching on to the next show so that we can be preparing for the main shows that are on the main channel. So for those that have not subscribed, please subscribe to the channel.